Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right guys, I'm back. It's Wednesday, March 18th, and it is 10:57 p.m. Why is it so late? Well, I already recorded one video and it didn't have sound, so I fixed it and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna just re-record it tonight because I don't want you guys to wait, and I'll have other stuff tomorrow to record, so I didn't want to leave it. All right, let's just skip over here. And what we're going to do tonight, I don't have anybody to thank tonight. I think people are kind of scared off by what they see around them, and or maybe, you know, conserving their cash flow. But I'll thank you guys anyway, because you've been so good to support this channel. And of course, we don't have any advertising. We're not monetized, so it helps me do what I do and keep bringing you content. All right, so thank you guys. And also, now the last video I talked about the fact that I was doing iPet Goat 2, and I have been working on that today, and I realize it's going to take me a bit longer because this is probably the most in-depth look at it that anyone has done so far anyway. And so I think you're going to find it very, very interesting. And so I'm trying to get that together. It's going to take me a little bit longer than I thought, but I'm getting that together. And I also asked you guys for suggestions because I thought, you know, I know everybody's getting sick of hearing that it's everything on the news, all the news, you know, and I know you're getting tired about hearing about CV. That's what I have to call it because I don't want to, it took me over an hour to get my video uploaded last night, an hour and a half, I think, because they had to go through it all because there were so many trigger words in there. And I was surprised that they actually let it upload and let you guys view it. But I'm going to try to be careful from now on about what I say. All right. And so I had asked you guys for suggestions, and these are the ones that I've received. I haven't been through all the comments, but these are the ones that I've looked at so far. And one of the suggestions was Antarctica, wanted me to look into that. Of course, there's plenty to look into with that. So I think that's a good suggestion, and I think I'm going to do that. Also, someone wanted me to look into music frequencies. There's a huge conspiracy around that, and that's something that I'm very familiar with and have looked into a lot. So I think that is a good suggestion. So I'm going to take that to heart and do a video on that as well. Also, someone suggested NESARA. That is a great suggestion, and I've added that to my list of things that I will do. I'm thankful for you guys suggesting these, because sometimes I know things that I'm interested in, but I'm not sure that you'll want to listen or hear about them. So it's great when you guys make the suggestions. Also, somebody wanted the Fed Bank or the central bank, and I think that's a great suggestion. I've got actually a lot of books here about it, so I think I'll familiarize myself with that again and do a video on that at some point. Now, these will be interspersed in with regular videos, but it gives me something to work on. Someone else suggested, and I was a little perplexed by this, so maybe you guys can help me out, SHAFE in Germany. Now, what I found about this, and I didn't look very in depth, I just wanted to get a definition of what it was. I never heard that before. It's the Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force. It was active in World War II, but somebody suggested that it's active again in Germany. So I don't know, but I need a little bit more to go on there from you guys, whoever suggested this. A little bit more information would help. You can email it to me, or you can put it in the comments. Now, I don't get to all the comments. I try, but it's very hard when there are hundreds and hundreds of comments, but I do try. So anyway, those are some great suggestions. If you have any more, put them in the comments below. If it's not something that I feel that I can do a good job on or that I know enough about, then I will let you know. But I'm always open to looking into anything, and especially anything that interests you guys. So, having said all that, let's get into it. All right. Now, this is a conglomeration of news and everything all, pushed together in a big lump here. So we've got some CV stuff and we've got some not. So, but lots of interesting things here. So stay tuned. All right. Now, breaking 911, Baltimore mayor. Now, this surprised me quite a bit, actually, because it doesn't make a lick of sense. Baltimore mayor begs residents to stop shooting each other so hospital beds can be used for CV patients. Now, what passed through my mind is that how ludicrous this is, because obviously if you've got citizens that are shooting one another, they're not law-abiding citizens, right? I mean, unless it's somebody that's shot an intruder or something, but these are not law-abiding citizens, people that go out and just shoot one another. So really, are they going to care? Oh, I better not shoot that guy because they might need that hospital bed for a CV patient. Do you really think that that's going through their heads? It isn't. So, yeah, really ludicrous. Absolutely, positively ludicrous. Now, what he could have said is, guys, be careful during this time. Don't do things where you might break your leg or break an arm or need to be hospitalized because, you might not get the care that you need. We need these beds. So, I don't know, but I thought that was a little bit out there. All right, and breaking 911, the burn ends. And isn't it about time? I've been waiting for the burn to end. Anyway, don't like the burn. Don't like the burn at all. Anyway, it's over now. It's ended. Axios reports that Bernie Sanders is suspending his presidential campaign. And the people said, woohoo! Yes, they did. Okay, well, this person said it. All right, let's go on. Rob O'Donnell. Due to CV crisis, Philadelphia police. Now, this is another one that's good. Things that make you go, Philadelphia police will no longer be making arrests for all narcotics offenses, thefts from persons, retail theft, theft from auto, burglary, vandalism, bench warrants, stolen autos, economic crimes such as passing bad checks, fraud, and prostitution. Now, this is in Philadelphia. So now this, the police have, telegraphed this all around. All you criminals, come here. You won't be prosecuted. Really, not the smartest thing to do. Really. You don't tell the criminals, oh yeah, we're not going to be, if you steal something, if you vandalize something, if you steal an auto, we're not going to come after you. Nah. And, you pass bag checks. Oh well. Fraud, prostitution, go ahead. Not real smart people. So if you're in Philadelphia, make sure you're armed. Protect yourself at home because the police aren't going to be there for you. Yeah. All right. Friendly reminder, the CDC is a V company. The WHO is owned by the Rockefellers. Yes, I know. Things that make you go, huh? Now, down here, the CDC also happens to own dozens of patents for these, which make them and the board members' respective companies billions of dollars. What it's all about, people. This is a blatant conflict of interest, making everything the CDC has to tell you very questionable at any time. Now, I would happen to agree with that heartily. Not just kind of, yeah, probably right. No, I heartily agree. The WHO has an extensive history with Rockefellers going back nearly 100 years. The Rockefellers are no stranger to questionable atrocities, funding the Tuskegee experiments, for example, not an organization to simply accept information from without intense questioning. I agree, totally. And here, yes, the wonderful Rockefeller Foundation. John Hopkins, Bristol Myers, and Rockefeller Foundation must face a $1 billion syphilis infection suit. Yes, and that is from way back when they infected people in Guatemala. Let's take a look at this so you'll know what it's about. A federal judge in Maryland said that Johns Hopkins University, hang on here, The Johns Hopkins University Bristol Myers Squibb Co. and the Rockefeller Foundation must face $1 billion lawsuit over their roles in a 1940s U.S. government experiment that infected hundreds of Guatemalans with syphilis. Yes, you heard that right. In a decision on Thursday, U.S. District Judge Theodore Chang rejected the defendant's argument that a recent Supreme Court decision shielding foreign corporations from lawsuits in U.S. courts over human rights abuses abroad also applied to domestic corporations absent congressional authorization. Chang's decision is a victory for 444 victims and relatives of victims suing over the experiment, which was aimed at testing the then new drug penicillin and stopping the spread of sexually transmitted diseases. The experiment echoed the government's Tuskegee study on Black American men who were deliberately left untreated for syphilis even after penicillin was discovered. It is horrendous and a huge black eye in the history of the U.S. I mean, absolutely awful what they did. They left those men to die untreated when a treatment was readily available. It was kept under wraps until a professor at Wellesley College in Massachusetts discovered it in 2010. U.S. officials apologized for the experiment, and President Barack Obama called Guatemala's president to offer a personal apology. Well, that should make it all better, shouldn't it? Chang said lawsuits against U.S. corporations under the federal Alien Tort Statute were not categorically foreclosed by the Supreme Court decision last April 24th in Justner versus Arab Bank covering foreign corporations. He said the need for judicial caution was markedly reduced where U.S. corporations were defendants because there was no threat of diplomatic tensions or objections from foreign governments. The judge also said that letting the Guatemala case proceed would promote harmony by giving foreign plaintiffs a chance at a remedy in U.S. courts. Due to the complaint, several Hopkins and Rockefeller Foundation doctors were involved with the experiment, as were 4 executives from Bristol Myers, predecessors, Bristol Laboratories, and the Squibb Institute. Yeah. Johns Hopkins expresses profound sympathy for individuals and families impacted by the deplorable 1940 syphilis study funded and conducted by the U.S. government in Guatemala. The university said in a statement, "We respect the legal process and we will continue to vigorously defend the lawsuit." A Rockefeller Foundation spokesman said that the lawsuit had no merit and that the nonprofit did not know about, design, fund, or manage the experiment. Bristol Myers spokesman Brian Castelli declined to comment. Well, naturally he would. So anyway, that is that. Says this experiment began 72 years ago. It's hard to believe, Beckman said, and Paul Beckman is a lawyer for the plaintiffs. He said his clients will proceed with discovery, including the exchange of decades-old documents. An earlier ruling found no statute of limitations issues if the plaintiffs could not have learned about the experiment before 2010, and of course they couldn't. So the case is a state of Arturo Giron Alvarez et al. Versus the Johns Hopkins University et al., U.S. District Court, District of Maryland, number 15-00950. All right, now let's go back here and again from Wyatt Austere. Deplorable. He says the CDC also happens to own dozens of patents for V's, which make them and the board members. Okay, I already read that. Never mind. All right, let's come down here. Yes, and continuing down here, it says, and isn't it interesting how this P-demic strongly sets forth the idea of the masses that mandatory V's are a necessity. And of course, they're already talking that, right? And there are countries now that have said that when it comes available, it will be mandatory. Now, they will have to hold me down, and really, I am not doing that willingly. They would have to literally hold me down and eject me because it's not happening. Anyway, more more quarantines, easy lockdowns, basically subjecting the masses to many new authoritarian measures, slaves will fight for the very that would enslave them more out of solidarity against the enemy. From all angles, this event is an obvious boon to the New World Order. And that is true, even in the novel 1984. And I highly suggest that if you haven't read that for a long time, you need to read it because we're there. And you can get it as a book, Audible form, I think for free online if you look. Anyway, in that book, they all had to have an enemy, and the government would invent an enemy for them all to focus on. And then it would just change, and they would just go from, being mad at this enemy to all of a sudden being mad at this enemy over here. The enemy would change and it would be like they didn't even notice. And that is what is happening here, I believe. The whole earth is fighting a common enemy and uniting to fight this. What a better way to bring in the NWO. All right, let's go on here. Something else you're going to find a little odd. I did. There is a Saint Corona, and she is the patron saint against plague and epidemics. Yes, indeed. I didn't know that. Maybe all Catholics know that. I don't know. But if we look down here, in Anzou, northern Italy, the hotbed of the CV in Europe, is a basilica where the relics of Saint Victor and Saint Corona are being preserved since the 9th century. Saint Corona was only 15 when she professed her Christian faith during the persecution of the Roman Emperor Marcus I can't pronounce it, sorry. Around 165, Corona was arrested and tied by her feet to the tops of 2 palm trees, which were bent to the ground. When the palms were let loose, she was torn apart. According to Roman martyrology, this happened in Syria. Saint Corona is especially venerated in Austria and Bavaria as the patron saint against epidemics. Her feast day is May 14th. Interesting. Coincidence? Don't know. All right, let's go back. No, really, let's. Now, here is some high-level weirdity, profundity. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's bizarre. Okay, we all know Tom Hanks claims that he and his wife Rita have contracted or tested positive for CV. Okay, all well and good. They're apparently in Australia, self-quarantining. Well, he's been sending out some bizarre tweets. Bizarre. Let's look at this. Now, I ask you, let's look at this picture that he sent out and look at it logically and deconstruct it. We've got a manual typewriter called Corona there, and now they haven't said that they're in a hospital. They said they're self-quarantining, but I find it odd because they traveled there from home, and he brought a 40-pound typewriter? Really? Is that what you travel with? Like, for real? A little odd. Okay, it's a lot odd. And does this look like a hotel room or a private home or anything to you? This is an industrial type sink, like a sink you would see either in a hospital or a jail. Then there's this apron thing over here that almost looks like it's one of those things that they put over you when they x-ray you. I mean, this is definitely not a hotel room. Have you ever seen a hotel room where the sink is right out in the open there? Like that? And here's the table, and he's there with his typewriter, his manual typewriter. And he writes the following. Hey, folks, good news. 1 week after testing positive in self-isolation, the symptoms are much the same. No fever, but the blahs. Folding the laundry. Now, why would he be doing laundry here? I don't know. Folding the laundry and doing the dishes leads to a nap on the couch. Bad news. My wife has won 6 straight hands of gin rummy and leads by 201 points. 201. Where have I heard that recently? Oh, right. Event 201. Event 201, which was their trial run or dry run for this, actually, if you look at it, the dry run or the trial or what do they call that? They have a drill. The drill was for the CV. Yeah, how weird is that? Anyway, just kind of jumped out at me and slapped me around a bit because 201. What are the odds? Okay, well, 6 straight hands of gin rummy and leads by 201 points. But I have learned not to spread my Vegemite so thick. Now, what's he referring to there? Well, there was another tweet that he sent out that was strange. It had a picture of toast and it was smeared with Vegemite. Now, I never knew what Vegemite was until I had a neighbor that had just, immigrated to the United States. She was my neighbor and she came straight from Australia. And I loved her accent and her very strange ways because, different countries, different ways and means. But anyway, she's the one that told me about Vegemite. And you spread that so thin, you just like a little skiff of it on the bread, or it tastes really gross. Well, he had great big globs of it on there. And I think people were saying like, is it Vegemite? Nobody eats it like that because it would be absolutely disgusting and not edible. So he's saying here, I've learned not to spread my Vegemite so thick. I traveled here with a typewriter. Who does that? Who carries around a 40-pound antique typewriter manual? Now, granted, he is a typewriter enthusiast by his own declaration. So I don't know, but it's weird. If you're in a hospital room, you don't take your typewriter. And just odd and extra odd that it's called Corona, don't you think? I don't know. I do. But we're not done with Hanks yet. But let's skip over here to Madonna. And what does she have here? She sends out a tweet. She says, Madam X Quarantine Diaries. And what do we have here? Oh, another manual typewriter. And its name is Corona-matic. It's a Corona-matic. And what does it say? Madam X did not die in Paris. What does that mean? I don't know. But it's odd, right? Are they sending messages? Is the deep state, they know they can't communicate by normal means, email, whatever, because it can be monitored by the NSA. So is this what they're doing? Are they writing notes back and forth to each other? Are they sending letters? I don't know. Just interesting that they're both Corona typewriters. And then we have this from Madonna. Madonna's album cover, which was released back in June 2019. Notice the typewriter name. And there it is, Corona. Another Corona typewriter. So we've got Madonna's album cover, which was released back in June 2019. Notice the typewriter's name, Corona, and how she is wearing gloves in the picture. She also has the one-eye symbolism of the New World Order. It even has a song called Future with lyrics. Not everyone will make it to the future. Coincidence? Well, I remember somebody bringing that song to my attention and I watched it and I couldn't believe it because the dancers and everything were dancing around in almost medieval type dresses and they had gas masks with flowers and everything. It was just very odd. And this is what she was singing. Not everyone is coming to the future. Not everyone is learning from the past. Not everyone can come into the future. Not everyone that's here is going to last. Not everyone is coming to the future. Not everyone is coming from the past. Not everyone can come into the future. not everyone that's here is going to last. Now, you tell me what she's talking about. And the album cover has this featured, Corona. So this is being foreshadowed. And we've got Simpson episodes and so forth. This is being foreshadowed. But interesting how these people communicate. Really. Now, here is the other Tom Hanks that tweet that I wanted to bring to your attention. Now, this person, Hulk Smash Tweets, says, I'm a 10-year Navy veteran with experience in aviation electronics as well as CDI, Collateral Duty Inspector for Quality Assurance. I used to have to turn in calibration equipment, and as a shop supervisor, I took part in many internal audits. That barcode, is from a government. Now, this is the picture that was taken, and when you look at it, above that door that they're standing in front of is a barcode. Odd, don't you think? Have you ever noticed hospital rooms to have barcodes? Nope. You ever noticed hotels to have barcodes? No. Ever seen a barcode on a private home? No. So where are they? Is this some government lockup? Is he being detained for the reasons that we all know? I don't know. But it's interesting. Now, this person has an interesting take on it. He says, Tom Hanks is telling his sick-ass friends to not type on devices that the NSA can monitor. Get it now? And perhaps that's what he's doing. And the person below said, I'm very thankful for people like you that who can see through this stuff and make sense of it. All right, and let's move on now. Here's ET Canada. Bill Maher tells viewers that real-timers will be going on an unexpected hiatus over CV concerns. Oh, you don't say. Bill Maher hosts final real-time before show goes dark over CV fears. Fans of Bill Maher's real-time won't be seeing his HBO show for a while, with Maher telling viewers that this will be his final show for a while due to CV. Since we're seeing so many people, a lot of celebrities are testing positive. I think that's very odd. But then again, they probably have access to tests that we don't have because they are who they are. But there's also all these people like Bill Gates stepping down from, the Bill Gates found, what did he step down from? Microsoft? I don't know. Whatever his company is, he stepped down from it. And I know he's the Microsoft man, but anyway, what was I going to say? My gosh, it just flew right out of my head. I hope I don't have CV. I don't. Well, I don't know that, but I'm pretty sure I don't. Is the show going dark because he stepped down? Has he been asked to step down, forced to step down, or is this just what it is? Is it just CV fears? I don't know, but I find it odd. And then there's this. Italy reports 4,207 new cases of CV and 475 new deaths, raising total to 35,713 cases and 2,978 dead. Then over here, Donald Trump said, we will, by mutual consent, temporarily temporarily closing our northern border with Canada to non-essential traffic. Trade will not be affected. Details to follow. Now, yesterday, Trudeau shut down the border with the States. Again, that doesn't affect trucks and so forth, like, commercial trucks, truck drivers being able to take goods back and forth and so forth. But if you're just skipping across the border to shop, which many Canadians do, they're going to be telling you, no. Now, that's on the American side. On the Canadian side, same thing. Americans can't just say, well, I thought I'd go on vacation. They're going to say, turn yourself around, go on home. So, yeah, I think that is a good thing. But, it's strange because in my lifetime, I've never seen the border closed. Well, actually, that's not true because I think they closed it temporarily on 9/11. All right. Now, more than 30 cops at New York City precinct call out sick after officer tests positive for coronavirus. Now, if you are a believer, we need to be praying for our healthcare workers and our police, ambulance workers, the people that are essential, firefighters, essential, that they stay safe and virus free, because this is not good. We don't want it going through a precinct like that and taking out, people that we absolutely need. So anyway, and also over here, today's New York CV numbers, 2,382 positive cases, up from 1,008 yesterday. That's more than doubled in one day. 1,339 total positive cases in New York City, 14,597 people tested so far in New York, including 6,194 in New York City. 20 deaths, 549 people hospitalized. All right. And another report from doctors in Bergamo, Italy's most hit city. The doctor says also middle-aged people with pre-existing conditions like diabetes are not given priority now for ICU. Euthanasia should become legal after this is over because we are already doing it with over 70. So because their hospital is in such short supply of ICU beds, if you go in and you're over 70, they're going to let you die because they're going to keep the beds they have for younger people. This is absolutely awful. I understand the predicament that they're in totally, but it's awful. And it's interesting because we may see, when this is all said and done, we may have different opinions about euthanasia. Now, I won't, because it is part of my faith. I don't believe in euthanasia, unless somebody is, they're really on their deathbed and they're trying to ease their suffering. I don't know, but I just would not feel comfortable doing that for myself, and I would never feel comfortable about doing it for someone else, making that decision. But anyway, that is what's happening, and I'm wondering if, when this is all over, if there'll be a whole different way of looking at things. Now, this is good news. Donald Trump signs CV relief bill with over $100 billion in aid. The bill passed 90-8 in the Senate on Wednesday afternoon after Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell urged Republicans to support the bill despite concerns from Republican senators who were not heavily involved with the process. I'd like to know who the 8 were that voted against it. I think that would be interesting to see. Probably able to find that out reasonably easily enough. All right, now let's look at this. Says, watch people show reckless disregard for anyone but themselves during CV outbreak. With the coronavirus rampaging around the world, people have been advised to stay home for the most part and to stay away from in-person groups of more than 10. Young people have been warned as well. You may not be in the highest risk group for a fatal infection, but you can infect someone else who is in a high risk group. The young people in the video below apparently do not care, which is why tighter restrictions will soon be mandatory. Now, let's take a look at this. And this person, Mark Caputo, says, what makes Florida special is that we have both homegrown and imported varieties of stupid. Now, to be fair to Floridians, it's not just Florida, but let's listen to this. Brady Sluter, if I get, okay, I'm not going to say that word. Here, we'll just play. The media could not be played. Well, why the heck not?
If I get corona, I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from partying. You know, we've been waiting for Miami spring break for a while. About 2 months we've had this trip planned. 2-3 months. So we're just out here having a good time. Whatever happens, happens.
Like, it's really messing up with my spring break. What is there to do here other than go to the bars or the beach, and they're closing all of it? It's really messing up. I think they're blowing it way out of proportion. I think it's doing way too much.
Doing us bad. We need a refund. This virus ain't that serious. It's serious. It's more serious things out there like hunger and poverty, and we need to address that.
That's
yeah,
true.
I mean, we planned this a long time ago, and it was kind of up in the air if we still go, but like we're here. I just turned 21 this year, so I'm here to party, so it's kind of disappointing, but we're just making the most of it. We met these other people in our little Airbnb spot, so we're just hanging out with them and trying to get drunk before everything closes.
I mean, it sucks, but we're gonna make the best of it. We're enjoying ourselves. It sucks, and I'm from New Orleans, so this really sucks. However, we're gonna enjoy ourselves. We having day parties all day. It's my birthday, St. Patrick's Day. Turn up.
We're just trying to roll with the boy. We're just living for the moment. We're just gonna do what happens when it happens. When stuff closes, we're gonna do it when it closes. But besides that, we're just trying to have the best trip we can.
Yeah, they all looked a little stoned or drunk or whatever. Anyway, says those kids should be ashamed of themselves, but clearly they appear to have no shame, just a narcissistic desire to have fun and anger that bars and restaurants are being closed and crimping their style. The Hill explains why this is a special kind of stupid. Early data analyzed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows that younger Americans are at a substantial risk of experiencing serious medical problems from the CV sweeping the globe. That data runs counter to some of the early messaging from public health officials in other parts of the world. A new CDC analysis of more than 2,400 cases of COVID-19 that have occurred in the United States in the last month shows that at least 1 in 7 and perhaps as many as 1 in 5 people between the ages of 20 and 24 who contract the virus require hospitalization, a level exponentially higher than the hospitalization rate for influenza. Between 2 and 4% of people that are young are admitted to intensive care units. The fatality rate is low, only 0.1% to 0.2%, but is about 2 times higher than that of a bad flu season. All right, so says many on Twitter who responded to this were not amused. When Florida becomes the new epicenter of the world, we have the wonderful leaders of Miami Beach, and even Florida. Governor Ron DeSantis, who knew better. He's right. Shame on the Republican governor for not closing the beaches when the CDC is calling for limits on people congregating. They're all toasted as F. Don't see why they need to get any more wrecked than they already are. Bars closing may be the best thing that ever happened to them today. That's true. Those kids did seem a bit wrecked. My guess is they have a stockpile back in their hotel rooms, no doubt. Oh, so true. The beach again today. So look at the people. Lots of people. And you can bet if they're all partying and stuff, as spring breakers normally do, they are coming in close contact with one another. So not a good idea during this time anyway. And here's a, it has, I guess that's supposed to be Uncle Sam. I don't know. Hoard, slurp. Got all the toilet paper. And the nurse says, CV, and the doctor says moronavirus. Anyway, all right, so let's go back. The moronavirus infects young and old and clearly is a very dangerous disease. Well, yeah, not just young people. Let's be fair, it's not just young people. All right. Okay, let's look at this now. As Americans turn to God for help, hateful Tlaib tweets, F a National Day of Prayer message. Such a lovely lady. In the face of the CV outbreak that's sweeping through the country and the world, President Donald, I hate when it does that. President Donald Trump designated this past Sunday as a national day of prayer. It is my great honor to declare Sunday, March 15th, as a national day of prayer, the president tweeted Friday. We are a country that, throughout our history, has looked to God for protection and strength in times like these, he added. On Saturday, at a CV briefing at the White House, Housing and Urban Development Secretary Dr. Ben Carson voiced his support for Trump's action. President Trump is going to be recommending a national day of prayer, Carson began, and we've gotten away from prayer and faith a lot in this country. There's nothing wrong with godly principles, no matter what your faith is. Loving your neighbor, caring about people around you, developing your God-given talents to the utmost so that you can become valuable to the people around you, having values and principles that govern your life. Those are things that made America zoom to the top of the world in record time, and those are the things that will keep us there too, Carson said. I agree. However, Trump and Carson's appeal to prayer did not sit well with everyone. Don't let this administration address CV like our national gun violence epidemic. F a national day of prayer. We need immediate comprehensive action, gun control advocate David Hogg tweeted. Oh, well, who listens to anything that guy says? He wasn't even there when the fruiting took place. He said so, but then they scrubbed that from the internet right quick. He said, I was on my bicycle and I heard that there was a fruiting down at the school, so I pedaled as fast as I could. Yeah, that whole thing. Anyway, I digress. Hogg is one of the survivors. No, he isn't. He didn't even go to that school. His post received more than 30,000 likes and 5,000 retweets. Hogg's post caught the eye of Democratic Michigan Rep. Rashida Tlaib, who retweeted it, but she met with significant blowback, causing her to delete her retweet and backpedal. Great. So, let me be clear, as someone who has been praying through all this and as someone who attended the National Prayer Breakfast, Tlaib explained on Tuesday, my retweet was not to be an attack on prayer. Right. It was to bring attention to the need for meaningful action to combat this public health crisis. Well, I'd like to know what she would propose to do. Doesn't even like Americans. Probably wants all of us dead. Anyway, it's hard to take seriously Tlaib's defense that her retweet was not to be an attack on prayer when she supported a message reading F a national day of prayer. Clearly, she deleted the retweet when she realized it was too much heat to bear. At the moment, the country is still at a standstill. People are staying home, social distancing from each other, or even self-quarantining. Some are at risk, or some are sick, rather. It's a scary situation, and one that's unlike anything we've ever experienced. And let's face it, many of us are miserable and on edge. Some folks are panic buying and spreading fear as they do. We have serious questions about the crisis and a dearth of knowledge to answer many of them. Americans are looking for ways to cope. There are plenty of doctors and nurses risking their well-being to help others in need, but most of us are not healthcare providers. We're at home. What can we do? What the likes of Hogg and Tlaib fail to understand is that to great many people, faith prayer is meaningful action. I pray because I can't help myself. I pray because I'm helpless. C.S. Lewis once wrote, I love C.S. Lewis. I pray because the need flows out of me all the time. Waking and sleeping, it doesn't change God, it changes me. What we do matters, no matter how little it may seem. Staying home, practicing good hygiene, helping take care of others, and yes, praying that the sick will be healed and the crisis will abate. Our prayers to God seek mercy, wisdom, and strength. Prayer is real action because we know that God is listening. Now, if you are a believer, this is self-evident to you. It's self-evident to me. It is how I feel personally, and I do feel that praying is an effective tool against this. That's my belief. Scripture says, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways, I would hear from heaven and heal their land. That's what Scripture says. I believe it. So, all right, let's go back. No, really, let's. Okay. Yeah, this is interesting as well. Let's take a look at this. I'm getting tired and I'm getting silly. I could feel it. It comes on me like it really does. I could feel it coming. I just get a little bit offside. Okay, a lot offside. Skepticism greets several countries reporting 0 CV cases. Yeah, I think that's healthy skepticism. According to official reports, the Wuhan CV has not yet covered the entire world yet. Several countries, including a few with sizable populations, are reporting 0 infections. A number of these 0 reports are viewed with skepticism, particularly from authoritarian regimes that might not want to admit they are battling the virus, or from countries where testing resources are so minimal that they could be unaware of CV infections among their populations. A full list of the countries reporting no infections as of March 17 was published by Pharmaceutical Technology on Wednesday. Many of these countries are small and isolated. Belize, that's in Central America, mostly English speaking there. Burundi, Cape Verde, Central African Republic, Chad, Comoros, DPRK, North Korea, Dominica, El Salvador, Eritrea, federal states of Micronesia, Grenada, that's in the Caribbean, Guinea, Bissau, Haiti, Kiribati, gosh, I've never even heard of that country. I don't even know how to pronounce that, something Republic, Libya, Madagascar, Malawi, Mauritius, Montenegro, Mozambique, Nauru, Nicaragua, Niger, Papua New Guinea, Republic of Yemen, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, Samoa. Okay, Sierra Leone, Suriname, Sao Tome and that's again, I haven't heard of that. Tajikistan, the Bahamas, the Gambia, Timor, Turkmenistan, Tuvalu, I've never heard of that. Uganda, I've heard of this, but I can't pronounce it. Vanuatu, and Western Sahara. All right, several countries reported a small number of possible infections, which were said to have tested negative. These include, okay, we don't have to go down all of these, but it's just interesting. And I guess, they're asking, is this because some of these are so small, they're not testing, they may not be aware of it, or are they trying to hide the numbers? I don't know. A few of the countries listed in both categories stand out as special topics of concern for international health experts. Two of the most obviously problematic are North Korea and Syria. Few outside observers believe either of these countries is completely free of CV, as they officially claim to be. As Pharmaceutical Technology noted, the Syrian government is at least taking highly publicized steps to control CV infection, including border restrictions, mandatory testing at airports, and protective equipment, basic medical training for airline staff and border guards. U.S. News and World Report on Wednesday cited concerns that Syria's healthcare system has been destroyed by a decade of savage civil war. Most of the public has very good reason to distrust government officials, and a huge portion of its population has been displaced from their homes into crowded and unsanitary refugee camps. Some doctors working in Syria believe they may have observed CV cases, but they lacked the resources to perform conclusive tests. The assertion that the virus is not present in Syria has been met with skepticism, particularly given all of Syria's neighbors have reported cases, and given the close relationship between the Syrian government and neighboring Iran, which, with more than 17,000 reported cases and more than 1,100 deaths, is one of the countries hit hardest by the virus. Pakistani officials have asserted that at least 5 cases in their country came from people who had come from Syria by way of Qatar. U.S. News reported. So, I don't know. I'm not going to read all this, but I do want to state that I do believe that countries are underreporting because the mass graves in Iran can be seen from space. So, pretty sure there's more than just, how many did they say? 1,000 and something dead. I can't find where I saw that now, but anyway, yeah, definitely more than that. All right, now let's see if there's anything else that I need to positively get to. Let's take a look at this. Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar criticized for response to Ivanka Trump's pro-family tweet. Well, what does Ilhan Omar know about family? She married her brother and then divorced him, married someone else, went back to her brother, I think, or went back to her first husband. I don't know. I can't keep it all straight. But now she's divorced and with a white man who, she said white men were the cause of all evil, basically. Something like that. Anyway, yeah, obviously, she's not even a good Muslim. Come on. She's not. She married her brother. I'm not suggesting they did the hanky-panky, but just the fact. And it was fraud. It was immigration fraud. Representative Ilhan Omar was widely criticized on social media on Tuesday after she reacted to a pro-family post by President Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka. The president's daughter suggested families make the best of their time together at home during the CV pandemic, saying they should, I made a face because I shouldn't have said that word, saying that they should have a living room campout with sandwiches, salad, and possibly s'mores. That sounds fun to me. I'd do it even without kids. Well, I'm like that. Ivanka Trump, staying home today with kids, plan living room campout. Throw a bed sheet over some taped together brooms, plan a menu and pack sandwiches, salads, s'mores, optional. A fun activity that also brings family together for a meal. Share your ideas and use the hashtag #TogetherApart. I think that is a good idea. Why is that not a good idea? And what can anybody take offense to, really? So anyway, a fun activity that also brings family together for a meal, the 38-year-old wrote. Share your ideas and use the hashtag #TogetherApart. The social media post also included a past picture of her and her husband, Jared Kushner's 3 children. It won't mitigate the fear and pain, Ivanka Trump wrote, but it may foster some joy. Let's come together as a community and share ideas on how to entertain our children and each other and create some positive memories in an otherwise frightening moment. 9 months from now, there's going to be a huge influx of births. Seriously, there will be. Everybody's at home. What else do they do? So anyway, but Omar used Ivanka's post as a way to make a political point about her father's policies regarding the U.S.-Mexico border. Well, she would, naturally, wouldn't she? Thinking of all the families separated forcefully by your father's policies today, Omar wrote, share your ideas on how you plan to unite them. Yeah, she is a piece of work, that one. The Minnesota Democrat drew many critics for her response to Ivanka's tweet, with one person suggesting she is not the person to be commenting on the subject of family. See, when she recently divorced and remarried a man she was allegedly having an extramarital affair with. Thinking of, okay, so let me see. Let's come down here. Somebody wrote, you're not qualified to talk about breaking up families. Now, during the crisis, free immigration now, open borders, you've displayed your opportunistic political virtue signaling, lack of patriotism, and blatant hypocrisy once again, another commenter wrote. Yeah, that's to put it mildly. And why do you need to be so hateful? Another responder asked Omar. Ivanka shared a simple family suggestion and you had to be spiteful and mean. Not something a true leader would do. Awful. I'm praying for this country to heal in all ways. You should try it. And they separated themselves when they decided to break the law, another wrote, referring to illegal alien families at the border. They need to come here legally. completely agree. I'm not against immigration, but I am totally against illegal immigration. I am an immigrant. I came to the States legally. I went through all the hoops. I paid all the money. I did everything right. But I have no sympathy for someone that is going about it illegally. All right, and the first daughter also received some kind responses in defense of her post, with one commenter tweeting how good a job she is doing keeping everyone calm. I think she's doing a fantastic job. I don't see anything wrong with what she tweeted, and I think Ilhan Omar is just a hateful, spiteful woman. All right, and oh yes, I'm just going to read you the headline of this. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but Trump announces HUD temporarily halting housing evictions, foreclosures in CV era. Now, I think that is a wonderful idea. I don't think anybody should be evicted during this time, especially because so many people, think about all the waitresses, the bartenders, the hotel people, the maids that clean the room. All those people are out of work right now because not very many people are traveling. There's so many people out of work. There's so many people that can't work from home, but, and they're risking going into the office, being around other people. This is not a good time for people, and I just don't think it's a good idea to be evicting people right now, unless they're doing something hateful and spiteful, like ripping apart the entire house, which some people do. They're nasty and spiteful. I've known so many people that owned rental property, and their stories are horrifying, absolutely horrifying. For example, and I'm just throwing this in there for chatting's sake, I have someone in my family, actually, extended family, that owns rental property, and we're related through marriage, and their marriage. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. I am like past my due date, I guess, or past my expiration time. Anyway, they had this place. They evicted this person because they hadn't paid rent in forever, and they had tried to help them and whatever. And the person, it was the middle of winter. They opened all the windows. They turned the heat up full blast. They turned all the taps on, so the place flooded, and it was an upstairs place which flooded the downstairs, and it cost this person a tremendous amount of money to fix. And here they had been trying to be nice to this person. So yeah, there are exceptions to that, but there are a lot of hardworking people that don't deserve to be evicted. They're just having difficult times right now. So anyway, let's go on from there. Da-dum-dum. Oh yes, and Trump admin is to allow all medical personnel to practice across state lines to stem the spread of the P. So that's good. Also, the Trump administration plans to send calls for sending 2 checks to Americans. I think that is good. I don't know where people are going to spend it, but they could spend it on paying their rent and so forth, or paying their mortgage, or what have you. So I think that is wonderful. And let's look at this too, because poor Melania. I feel sorry for her, because people are so nasty to her. Model Chrissy Teigen launches obscene wife bot attack on Melania Trump, gets hit with retribution. Now look at Melania. She is a classic beauty, and then there's model Chrissy Teigen, who is attractive, but come on, like, Melania is just a beautiful woman. She's always been beautiful. It's not, I'm sure she's had cosmetic procedures and so forth, but if you look at the pictures of her when she was young, she's always been beautiful. And she's just a genuine person. She's kind. I don't understand it. For a woman who built a career on beauty, the ugliness is striking. In parts of the world where she's famous, Chrissy Teigen is considered a supermodel, part of the elite class of perfect faces and alluring bodies who's graced the covers of high fashion publications or flaunted their assets for men's magazines like Sports Illustrated Swimsuit issue. But she's also known, along with her husband, the overrated singer John Legend, for being an outspoken liberal ferociously opposed, like most of the beautiful people, to President Donald Trump and the revolution he brought to American politics. And on Twitter Tuesday, while sane people were preoccupied with the CV that's changing the face of the United States on an almost hourly basis, Teigen decided to bring that opposition to bear on First Lady Melania Trump with a string of profanity-laced tweets that insulted Melania's intelligence as a wife bot, while calling the president himself a loser wimp. Fortunately, the First Lady has plenty of fans who are willing to fight back on her behalf. It wasn't clear exactly what sparked the vicious Twitter rant, but she must have caught up to Melania Trump's post from March 7, where the First Lady urged her critics to turn their energies towards something good and productive in their own communities. Now, that's good advice. To Teigen's type, apparently a sensible plea like that is an invitation for yet more coarseness and sheer malice, proving that all the money and fame in the world won't buy even the most beautiful woman 1 ounce of class. Isn't that true? Note the obscenities appear in Teigen's original tweet. Has Melania even thought about doing something with her best during these times? Her best, probably, I don't know. I see regular ass awesome people on my timeline all day doing all they can to make people happy, and this wife bot is working on whatever the F a tennis gazebo is. Yeah. I suspect, and then it goes on, I expect Donald to be a do-nothing effing loser wimp, but she could maybe possibly try to be better, possibly the best, be the best, be best. Yeah, she must have been drinking heavily. All I have seen this bot do is generally touch Christmas ornaments in a cape and stare in a cape and put statues in a different cape and then change her cape into a rude-ass jacket. F you. Seriously, this woman, who at age 34 is best known for appearing half naked on slick pages of various magazines 4 years in a row in Sports Illustrated, and she's up on a high horse attacking a modeling veteran who has spent her White House years at least trying to use the influence of her current position to help young people deal with emotional problems, bullying, and thoughts of suicide with her Be Best initiative. Of course, Teigen's rant drew plenty of liberal supporters. Even in the Me Too world, the left loves nothing more than to publicly assault a woman on the right, but that wasn't all it drew. In the face of media and celebrity world criticism that borders on the insane, Melania has developed a large base of fans who see a woman who's much more than the still stellar beauty that won her success in the modeling world. And as Teigen found out, those fans don't like seeing the First Lady attacked. And this is somebody responded to Chrissy Teigen and said, in this time of crisis, this is what you're worried about? Maybe jealous that Flotus has more class in her pinky finger than you could ever hope to have? Get a grip, get a life, and get over it. And, hey, Chrissy, what do you do to make life better for your community beside naked selfies? Reality is, she's much more beautiful than you by far. And I would agree with that. She is. She's a classic beauty. You are acting like a self-centered, spoiled brat. Calm yourself down. Melania Trump is a stellar example for girls and women everywhere. President Trump is one of the most effective presidents in history, up there with Abraham Lincoln and Ronald Reagan. Agreed. But this one summed it up best, at least in spirit. You are the epitome of hatred. I am so happy I don't live with the anger and evil you have in your soul. You are the, okay, now, there's no way of knowing that whatever Tegan feels is hatred, and there's no way of knowing for sure how much anger and evil she harbors in her soul. It's a fair bet it's not more than most people, and certainly not more than most liberals. She just has a bigger platform to spew her filth onto the world. But what that last tweet does express is happiness at not having to live with the kind of ugliness Tegan's tweet undoubtedly show. And that's something every mentally balanced, emotionally adjusted person should relate to. Even in the best of times, living in the miserable stew of resentment and rage that liberals have expressed since Donald Trump's upset win in 2016 has to be trying the soul. Living with that in a time of stress like the one the United States population is dealing with now, thanks to the Chinese Communist government, must be soul-destroying. And when it comes out in the utterly vicious form on display in Tegan's tweet, it's as ugly as sin. Well, I can't negate that. All right, now, I think that is where I'm going to end for tonight. It is now 12:01 a.m., so it's actually Thursday already. So I'm going to get this uploaded and on its way to you, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Sleep well, stay safe, and wash your hands, for goodness sakes. They're filthy. Who knows what you've touched? Go wash them. No, really. I'll wait. No, I won't. Good night, guys.